Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
Entries of the Last Cosmos episode, how they have like lightsaber kind of weapons, but and then also in what's the one with there's a little kid in a big like man-sized robot suit with a whip in Batman Beyond.
Well, I was thinking of what about the Once and Future thing with like the Joker's game?
Yeah,
how
yeah.
like is it wait, what's his name? The one, the pink leotard.
Yeah, you know, Chucko.
Chucko.
Yeah,
Chuck,
he has
so
like
Chucko
a
has
Darth Maul.
Yeah, he has a Darth Maul lightsaber, and then
Yeah.
the Dini twins kind of has the electrified whips.
Yeah. When we were watching Batman Beyond with my sister, that came up as like, how are they able to have lightsabers on this show, like essentially? And I'm pretty sure that there's some episodes where Hawkgirl's mace also just makes the exact sounds that the
When it
lightsabers
like electrifies.
make. Yeah. And yet,
Nice.
George Lucas is so, or at the time was so like, you can't do anything close to a lightsaber in anything or I'll sue the hell out of you. So how do they do it? Tell me. Email us at info@watchtowerdatabase.com.
That's how they did it. Now, Bruce Timm is also a big Star Wars fan. I know I've seen some Bruce Timm artwork of Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
So I know we don't do images in this podcast, but maybe we can make an exception. Maybe you're looking at the images right now.
Oh, thanks, Ted. I'll show it for one frame right now.
Blink and you miss it. Go back and pause.
Yeah. Try to if you double clicked fast enough to catch it, then email us at info@watchtowerdatabase.com. Hey everybody, that was a good intro, I think. Welcome to
That was it. If you catch the screenshot, you are also a 12th level intellect.
You sure are. You can be the honorary 12th level intellect of the day.
Who were the first two?
Which it includes me, James Strecker, and this guy right here, who is
I'm
named
Ted Kendrick, per usual.
I didn't realize that you had also started going into, and what are the names of the other two? So I was about to, but then my brain clicked in that you had said another sentence. But anyway.
Here we are.
Today's
Very
episode, we're
intellectual
talking about The Last Jedi, which came out weeks ago, but who cares? This is the first time that we're talking about it. Yeah.
The Last Jedi, but not the last Star Wars movie.
No.
We should be expecting those for our
entire lives.
Yeah.
Until some, I was about to say until some company gets big enough to buy Disney, but I don't know if that's even possible.
They're the big company buying everyone else.
Yeah. So, news things. Who wants to go first? You? Okay,
see.
sounds good.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Well, my first thing is something that dropped today, as in 3 days before you're hearing this. The Teen Titans Go to the Movies trailer exists now. It's not really much of a trailer because it's just a lot of them standing in a white void, talking, making silly little jokes, and then like one clip from the movie, and
Which is a big fart
It's just
scene.
a big fart joke, yeah. So that
Didn't get enough fart jokes in Batman and Harley Quinn. So.
Yeah, I know. Is Bruce Timm directing this movie? Or writing, I guess. I was going to talk about how yesterday when the little teaser for the teaser came out, it just like any other Teen Titans Go thing, it was immediately met with a bunch of negative backlash of, oh, the Teen Titans Go sucks, it's not funny, da da da. And I was like, I've never watched a full episode. I watched those little shorts that they made on Cartoon Network before the show actually came out, and those were pretty okay. And so I was just thinking, like, why does everyone hate this? Like, it must be not as bad as everyone says. Like, and it still might not be. I've yet to watch it, but then this trailer just completely obliterated my argument for it because it's just a big fart joke, and I was like, oh man, okay. Why did you have to do that? But there's someone on like some Reddit post that Maddie sent us. Shout out to Maddie Washburn. About
Maddie.
it was like some guy talking about this is what people are gonna think Teen Titans is if this is the first Teen Titans movie. And is this a theatrical movie? Is this in cinemas? Okay, well
It is. Yeah, it is for sure.
I agree with Maddie's responses to him or her that everyone knows Robin already. No one's gonna be like, this is my first introduction to any of this or whatever. It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Most people also know the Teen Titans because the original series was on there over 10 years ago. So it's the type of people who might have grown up watching the show. Maybe now they have their own kids. It's possible. Yeah. And this version of the Titans has kind of followed through. That's probably a rare case, but it's definitely possible.
I'm pausing the trailer on, there's maybe 5 total shots, camera angles in this trailer. And they must have done this all on purpose just for trailer breakdown people or something. Because I'm just looking at one shot of the city and there's Sinestro Buns, Ace Chemical, Apocalypse, something and Lashes, Rorschach, something or other, and there's a Green Lantern and Swamp Thing, and there's Darkseid, and there's just everything they just put into one screenshot.
Oh, really? What, in the Teen Titans Go movie?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of It's just
cameos,
storefronts, a bunch of companies on the street that are all just named after different characters and stuff.
Well, that's cool.
I guess, yeah. What's that Cartoon Network cartoon where every character is drawn in a different animation style and the background's live action? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Someone's screaming it at their phone right now. It looks like that is what I'm trying to say. They're the backgrounds are a lot more hyper realistic than I think they usually are on the cartoon. Gumball, The Amazing World of Gumball. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Well, now you do. And that's that. I guess I'm looking forward to the movie. I don't know. Maybe.
We'll watch it.
Will I see it in theaters? I guess I'll see it in theaters because I have I'm not going to advertise it, but that the pass for movies that you can just go see a movie with this pass that they give you, and it's pretty great.
Oh yeah, Movie Pass. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I'm sure our fans are groaning right now because we post all this Teen Titans Go content, not a lot on our Facebook pages, but it always is met with a bunch of angry faces.
Yeah.
People really hate Teen Titans Go. And I'll be honest, I have not watched a lot of it. I've seen very little. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, we tend to post. I was going to talk to you about this, but we tend to post stuff on the Facebook page that's top 10 things that the Justice League cartoon did better than the movie, and then we'll always caption it with only 10 and then the people will be like, hey, what the heck, why did you stop hating on the Justice League movie? It was fine. And then we'll go and post this stuff about Teen Titans Go, and people are like, this show sucks. So it's just make up your mind. Fanboys, let me tell you. I mean, thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate every single one of you. That's not a joke, though.
I got a piece of news.
Yeah, do it.
So, still talking about the movies. Warner Brothers just recently, about a month ago, but they had a bit of a shakeup in their executives. So, Walter Hamada has come on to replace John Berg as president of DC Films. And so, he is going to go on to just kind of spearhead things going forward. And
there was a weird, not to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting you. There was a weird article or some sort of rumor going around right before that, a day before that was announced, that Ben Affleck was placed as that person instead of that guy. And I was like, is this a joke? Obviously it must have been, but it was Ben
Affleck just can't make up his mind.
Yeah, I think that was just part of that, all of that, like he's in, he's out, whatever. With someone just decided like, oh, let's just go full bore, make a joke article about that he's now in charge of everything or something. Ben Affleck has bought Warner Brothers.
He was supposed to be on the Batman movie as writer and director.
Yeah.
And now he is still going to be Batman, but yeah, that was always like part of it. And then he was like, nope, I don't want to do it. And then I think I heard another rumor that like he wanted to get back in the writing of it again. So I don't know. But anyway, back to Hamada.
Yeah.
Walter Hamada is known for movies such as The Gallows and The Conjuring, horror movies like that, which is an interesting choice.
Oh yeah.
For the DCEU, I think. I mean, as of recently, we know that Justice League Dark is pretty high up there on their production schedule. So this could be a really good fit to do Justice League Dark the right way.
Yeah, if he has any creative input on that, it will definitely be helpful.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
It's still far enough down the pipeline that this is probably going to be one of his first major projects that he'll be doing for them. So
is this essentially an appointment of like a Kevin Feige kind of person that everyone's been clamoring for forever?
Although we've had that with the DCU, and
I guess,
even Zack Snyder and Zack and Deborah Snyder have kind of been in that role a little bit, guiding the first couple of films. But yeah, Hamada is.
But then everyone hates them because they're stupid.
They're not.
Because they make the movies that they want to make instead of what everyone screams at them to make.
Right.
What the heck?
Well, it's also a big problem, like. Not to get too off topic from Walter Hamada, because we've talked about this kind of stuff before, but the Snyders, they'll make their movie, and then somewhere in the editing room, things get a little lost in translation to the point where every single film, except for Man of Steel maybe, has required a director's cut or extended edition. Like the movie we get on DVD ultimately is not the same movie we saw in theaters.
Yeah, Justice League is supposed to have one.
Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing I was going to say about Hamada, he's got a good working relationship with James Wan, who's a director on Aquaman.
That makes sense
too. So, yeah, I think that might be how he got part of it. And I've always been a big vocal fan of Jeff Johns, who is the chief creative officer at DC, and he's still tangentially involved with the film world. He's also really heavily involved with TV. So he's kind of like the quality control person, who's just making sure that the comics translate to these other mediums. So I'm still very happy to hear that he is going to be a point of contact, but this also makes me think maybe we can see more writing from him, get him on more books again and stuff, which we're probably going to talk about Doomsday Clock later. So we'll get back to his writing. But anyway,
I hear a lot of people saying that he or like Paul Dini or people that have had a history of really well-written DC Comics stories should be, put them in charge of the movie universe. Why don't you just do that? And like maybe in the multiverse dimension where they did do that, maybe we do have a lot more cohesive like run of DC movies. But I also like seeing new things. Like not that those writers aren't capable of coming up with new ideas, obviously, but doesn't have nothing ever done. Doesn't have to. Nothing has to be. Wow, how do I say this sentence?
No, I think I know what you're saying.
It doesn't have to be the same.
I see it in the very much like the same vein of why DC and Marvel films are very different, because Marvel has been creating this very cohesive universe where like this looks like a Marvel film. It's got the same style, tone, it's very much believable. That's all in the same world. And so is the DCEU, but all the directors, DC's always said that they try to be more director driven. Yeah. And so you can kind of see that stamp on their movies a little more.
Yeah, I think the DC look is make everything wet, crunch the blacks, and then make all the lens flares, and then everything looks the same. That's how it works. Okay, my next thing is we got the like Krypton TV show. The Krypton show is coming very soon.
In March, late March.
Yeah. And this article I found it's from Cinema Blend. There's going to be like a lot of cool cameos and appearances by characters you might not expect to be on the show, because like the show's about Superman's grandpa essentially, and Kryptonian political angst and stuff like that, as far as I can tell. But I guess there's gonna be there's gonna be some pretty obvious ones, like Brainiac will be on it, and
Adam Strange was in this trailer.
yeah, that's the thing, is
trailer.
like, yeah, there's gonna be like Omega Men and Adam Strange and Hawkwoman.
the Omega Men.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
It's
cool. I
something
like them.
something about like some sort of bat embargo thing where they can't use the Green Lantern Corps because of that movie being in the makes. I don't know.
Okay.
In the makes, that's a word.
Back in the day, it was Tomar Ree was the Green Lantern.
Right,
of
I was going to
Krypton
talk about
sector.
that. That's interesting that they can't use them. So, because
Yeah.
that would have been a kind of a cool end to the show or something, where like, oh, I'll be right back, you guys, don't worry, and then the planet explodes. But from the trailer, it seems like there's going to be some kind of time travel or something like that. Have you watched the newest trailer
I did.
for it?
Yeah. Well,
there's like
obviously Adam Strange is there from our present because he knows like Superman's
Is that who
gonna
that's
be the
supposed
greatest
to
hero of
be?
the universe.
Okay.
I think that is Adam Strange. Yeah.
The guy in the
and
hoodie? Is that who you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah, okay.
So it actually reminds me of a comic that was part of James Robinson's Starman series. Near the end of it, Starman gets like involved in some time travel where he winds up on Krypton and helps Jor-El.
What is that what is that called?
Starman. It's like one of the later issues of that
Because
series.
this article is talking about that they're going to use a lot of cues from Mystery in Space.
Okay.
So that's also cool. But anyway, whatever you
So
were
maybe
saying
some
before.
Captain Comet. Captain Comet was usually the mystery in space guy.
Oh.
So, but
I
so was
believe
Adam
you.
Strange. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I wasn't planning on watching this, and I might not still, but I don't know. This seems like more interesting to know that those characters will be on it, and this, I guess, has been confirmed to not be in any established live-action universe. Like, it's not part of the CW, it's not part of the DCEU, it's not part of in Smallville or like anything. It's just its own thing, which
I
is
think
kind of
that's
cool.
probably better.
Yeah. Because then they don't have to think about, they don't have to worry about, like, does this look enough like Krypton on Man of Steel? Does this,
Right.
whatever, on a TV budget? But then also, at the same time, it's kind of like, why do you just keep crafting more and more? I mean, I guess that's a DC thing. Like, this is just another,
we've
like,
seen it when
Elseworlds or
Marvel-
something.
How like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is very much like it's the same universe, but it's almost convoluted it too much by being in the same universe
Yeah.
and not having those more
You
like
can't-
obvious connections.
Yeah, you can't go as many places, I guess. Like, you couldn't, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm trying to think of an example, I guess, but you couldn't, go to Asgard, because then they're like, that's...
We need a movie budget
Yeah.
for that. Yeah.
But you could do that. You could do... I don't know, you could show a character that's already been on Supergirl or something, and it wouldn't have to be the exact same person.
Well, I'll give this to Sci-Fi, like the Sci-Fi Channel. They're
you're
doing
right.
some pretty brave stuff. And it seems like they want to be the new comic book TV channel. Like they just recently released Happy, which was featured Patton Oswalt. It was a comic by Grant Morrison about like this this down and out drunken detective who winds up meeting this blue flying unicorn. It's like a
Oh,
this
yeah,
imaginary
okay,
friend.
okay.
You heard of that? Yeah. And it's like the unicorn's person got kidnapped and he comes to the detective to try to save his little girl. So he's the girl's imaginary friend trying to
Okay.
get her rescued.
I
It's pretty
apologize
cute,
for
and it's a-
screaming, oh yeah, into the microphone.
Oh yeah.
Just now,
the original comic's crazy. It's dark, but it's funny. It was
Who's
a
that
good book.
guy? The main guy in that looked familiar to me.
Yeah, I forget his name. I know he's somebody I should know. I forget his name.
Oh, he's in Man of Steel. He's the like a good death is its own reward guy. You know who I'm talking about? He gets killed on he the plane into the Kryptonian thing that implodes. This all makes sense, right? The big
Yeah,
old
that guy was a
wow thing.
very
you know what I'm
important
talking about?
character.
Yeah. No, he had Colonel Hardy, I think was his name.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Why don't you know this? Oh
Colonel
my God.
Harvey Dent?
No, Hardy. Like the
Hardy.
Hardy Boys.
Hardee's.
No. Over here, we call it Carl's Jr., so...
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Please calm down.
Okay. East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah. It's, comment below what's your favorite version of Carl's
Hardee's
Jr.
versus Carl Jr.
Hashtag Carl's Jr.
Who would win?
My boys in the comments. Okay.
All right, next piece of news.
Sure. My only
gotcha.
other... Or no. That was mine. Okay, so
That was
your
yours.
turn. Yeah.
Last one. Static Shock, season 3.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty
It's coming to DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And Blu-ray or just DVD?
I think it's just DVD. It's a very
I don't
unremarkable
know.
cover art. They just slapped together a screenshot
It's
and a
this
promo
new-
image.
It was
Yeah.
that season 3 costume. That's when he
Yeah.
changed.
But that's been the costume
cool.
I think that was on the last one. But I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That
excited
was a good
for
season. That's a lot of the crossover episodes on
It
that one.
is,
Like it
yeah.
starts with Hard as Nails with Batman.
that. Yep, it's got the
Poison Ivy,
Justice League
Harley.
one on there too.
Right. Yeah, it's a good season.
I know there's some people that haven't watched all of Static Shock just because they weren't in DVD quality, and now they're finally watching them for the first time.
Nice.
And that's, that's cool, but you could have just watched it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see the crossover episodes specifically, but just all of it on a quality that's not a like VHS
Yeah.
rip that's uploaded in like 360p to some random website.
You got 360. That sounds nice.
Damn. Yeah. Classy
mine's
HD
240.
over here. Yeah. God. Just watching it on like an iPod Nano or something. I bought both of the Zeta Project seasons when the second one came out last year, and I
Did it
hadn't
come with a
watched.
petition to get them to finish the show?
No, yeah, it comes with a mail-in form in the DVD
Give us season
case.
3.
But the that's kind of stupid that like the DCAU timeline just ends at one point. Like there's no like no matter how far we get into detailing the timeline, at some point it just stops abruptly. But anyway, what I was gonna say is I bought those, but I didn't watch any of them. I just I have them now. They're mine. They're part of the collection. But then I popped in one of the discs to upload an episode for one of our recent videos, and I just sat there and watched 10 minutes of it without realizing it, just studying every crisp line and beautiful this is what Zeta Project is supposed to look like. Not a really grainy, disgusting
Right.
and it's supposed to sound good too. What the heck? Yeah. So
Do you think
it's
it holds
not
up?
like
I know. Yeah.
did
did you enjoy watching it again?
But this show is, I think, objectively probably the least interesting of any of them. Just because, well, I don't know really why, but it's it's a cool
weird
idea,
one.
but it doesn't have. I think it's probably Static Shock is a very niche audience, I think, but then the crossover episodes with the other shows kind of brought in more people watching it, and then they realize, oh, okay, this show isn't bad, and they'll watch the rest of it. But Zeta Project had one crossover, and then it otherwise just feels like a kind of random kids WB show from that era,
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't
Honestly,
think
it's
of it,
probably
the Men in
something that
Black
they were
animated
making-
series.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or they had a mummy one, like Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, the Mummy cartoon.
Cartoon on that, too.
Yeah, that kind of stuff where you're
Yeah.
I remember that existing, but I never watched it, and then you forget that it's part of the DCAU because it just barely is. I don't know.
Zeta Project, not the Mummy.
Correct. Brendan Fraser is Batman. Yeah.
No, not at all. Although I could see Emotep and Ra's al Ghul teaming up to do something.
What?
Emotep
Oh, in
and
the
Ra's al
Mummy.
Ghul,
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming
Is there-
soon in Legacies of the DCAU.
Yeah, God. Yeah, no. I mean, unless that makes people excited to read it, then yeah, we're definitely doing that. Yeah, that there's some in our original Legacies animated promo thing from a couple years ago. There's the part with the silhouettes of the bad guys, and people have commented like, "Well, I can tell that guy is this guy and this guy is this guy, but who's the third guy?" It was the mummy. So now you know.
Now you know.
It was Imhotep.
Secrets revealed. Imhotep.
It's not.
Imhotep.
I mean, if you want it to be, fine, but then a few dozen issues from now, it won't be, so it's okay.
If you want Imhotep, leave a comment.
Yeah, if you like Imhotep, if you'd like to see Imhotep and Ra's al Ghul team up, let us know. Okay, that's all that I had. I also had a tab open for a Marvel vs. DC fan trailer video, but I'm not gonna. I haven't watched it, so I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's
don't talk about it.
Great.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't. That's it. Okay. What else? Let's see.
Last
We gotta
Jedi.
talk about Star Wars or something, I think.
I guess so.
So I've seen the movie twice. How
I've only
many
seen it
times have you
once.
seen? Okay. Well.
Only once. And it's, to be honest, it's been a few weeks, but I can still talk about it.
Yeah. So tell me the plot of The Last Jedi, Ted. With full spoilers, because this is what happens in this show.
Of course.
So we talk about things without any rapport, without any care for your own spoiledness. So just
it's a big chase movie from the First Order
oh yeah.
to the Resistance. The whole thing is a chase, and it's the Resistance who are losing. And as we saw in The Force Awakens, their last hope is not Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, who happens to be just as old as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original film, which I think is great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, the actors are?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they were the
that's pretty
exact same
cool.
age when they shot that. Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact. So, Rey goes to Luke to try to get him to help, and try to drag his butt off that island that has some fascinating creatures on that, such as the new porgs, which we met in this movie. They're these little like owl cat things. They're a little too cute. They're a little
That
too
reminds
cute.
me of something else, but I'll bring that up later.
I heard that they made those into the movie because when they shot on the island, there were too many puffins that they couldn't get out of the shot. So instead of having all these birds, they just digitally made these porgs to go on top of all the birds. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess if they got like establishing shots of the island and you see birds
Right.
flying around, then yeah, that's
I
funny.
don't know. I don't know what the fuck the giant like anteater milk cow things with the green milk. I don't know. Like maybe there was a water buffalo on the island that they couldn't get out.
Yeah,
know.
those were actually there. We discovered a new species, but they wouldn't
And
get out
then
of
we
the
made
shot,
Luke
so we
Skywalker
just drink
drink
from
its-
them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Powerade.
Yes.
I don't know, but that's basically the whole movie right there. So
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
but more or less,
nothing else
there's a
happens.
couple other characters. You got Finn. Finn is back. We got a new character named Rose, who's pretty cool. She's resistance kind of tech person, pilot as well. There's a big scene. I kind of skipped around. There's a big scene at the beginning, which has a lot of fans talking about Newton's law of gravity, which is it's always good to take some science lessons there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a big, right after I saw the movie the first time, I wrote out just a giant list of like
Oh yeah, list of questions.
inconsistent, yeah, just like not necessarily.
And then I went
plot
through and
holes.
answered them
yeah.
all.
Yeah, you did. Not like, yeah, they weren't like necessarily plot holes or anything. It was just like, yeah, anything I came out of the movie wondering still. But then I saw it the second time, and most of them were actually answered in the movie, and I just wasn't paying enough attention. I think I spent the first time I watched the movie, I spent the whole time like being too judgy. I
Criticizing
think.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's main problem with the movie is like Force Awakens was the first Star Wars movie in 10 years, and everybody was so excited for it, and like no matter what happened in the movie, I mean I think it is a more adventurous, fun movie than Last Jedi, but it's still like, I feel like if Last Jedi had somehow been Force Awakens, like if it had been the first one to come out, that people would still have had the same like childlike wonder effect with it and been like, oh my god, Star Wars is this is so amazing, everybody go see it, and it would just be great. And I I guess that's giving it too much credit, maybe. Like,
I think it might be.
It needs to be a good movie or whatever instead of just being Star Wars. But I think that Last Jedi is not a bad movie, and that if you saw it and you have a bunch of, there's so many plot holes, there's so many stupid things that characters did, I do recommend. I usually hate people that recommend seeing it a second time, because you should just be able to get whatever it was meant to give you on one try. But I do recommend seeing it again and not thinking of it as like a modern movie that you need to criticize because everyone's a critic nowadays. If you just go into it as a 10-year-old watching Star Wars, it's pretty good. It's pretty fun. And like, I think that it will stand, it'll stand the test of time with all the other Star Wars movies. Like, even the prequels are not amazing, obviously, but they came out when I was in middle school or whatever, elementary school. So the fact that I can just go, like, whenever I watch them, I know it's not a good movie, but it's still like nostalgic and it's still Star Wars. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of the people who did enjoy it. I at least the first and only time I watched it, and like, you can't talk about this movie without bringing up Carrie Fisher, because this was the last installment of Star Wars that she was able to complete.
Yeah, and ironically, she's the only one of the original like 3 to survive.
Right. Yeah, it makes me wonder how they're gonna approach her in episode 9. Whether it's maybe it's another, like, this is one of the few Star Wars movies that haven't jumped time between the films. You know, like, it's a matter of days between Force Awakens, probably, like maybe a couple weeks tops. But I feel like that's
it's kind of a weird little jumble of like timelininess at the start of the movie, because like at the end of Force Awakens, Han Solo died, oh no, we're back, and oh my god, sorry to hear that Han Solo died, and then I gotta go find Luke, and then there must be some, like, at that moment, the next, like, Last Jedi begins, I guess, but they're on a different planet. They've moved to a different base, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's the same.
The Resistance has, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's been at least a few days for them to set up on there and then get immediately kicked off. But then Rey...
Well, I think they might be on their way out of that original one. I think they're on their way out of where they were.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
But then, then Rey is on the island, but then she's still handing him the lightsaber after a week. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that was probably a minute after. And the scene we saw at the beginning might have been set a little afterwards, but...
I mean, if
that's
you go by
the
like
magic of movies,
if you go by like interstellar logic, maybe that's happening like 7 years ago, or what. Like, time is passing differently in different areas.
There we go.
But as we all know, Star Wars apparently doesn't follow any sort of scientific logic. So,
well, it was set in a long time ago in a galaxy.
That's true. Science worked differently. Did you see? This is off topic a little bit, but it's still space related. Did you see there was a interview with oh my god, what's his name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
No,
yes.
no. I'm just guessing. Who are you talking about?
Yeah, you're correct. On the Colbert talk show.
Oh, actually, I did watch that. That.
Where he's like a space fact that still boggles his mind and keeps him up at night.
About the universe expanding.
Yeah.
And how future generations won't see the same stars that we do, or they'll see less.
Yeah, because if it's expanding, then what we're seeing, the like picture we're seeing of the universe right now, will have passed by, and then it keeps him up at night wondering like what everybody saw prior to us or whatever, like whether it was, whether it looked pretty much the same or whether it was just completely clustered with stars or a completely different looking thing or whatever. So I wonder, why did that make me think of that? What were we just talking about with Star Wars?
Star and Wars.
Oh, so thank you.
We got the stars aspect here.
No, there was something with just, I can't even remember that, but whatever. That was just kind of a cool like, oh yeah, wow, thing. But
Maybe like
whatever.
the ancient Mayans used to look up in the sky and be like, "That's Alderaan." Oh wait, it just disappeared.
Yeah. That's
Oh.
Alderaan, they said in
Is
Aztec
that a
English.
moon next to it? That's no moon.
Yeah. Oh, it was the star, the long time ago thing. Yeah, that maybe the stars worked differently then.
Probably
But
not.
no, I mean the Aztecs looked up in the sky and there was just a big message in the stars that said the world will end in 2012. So they wrote it down, and then it didn't
And
happen.
they got a couple years off. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Well,
be this
yeah.
year. But oh, happy
Well, what were your
2018,
favorite parts of the
everybody.
movie? Yeah, hey, here we
Okay, I liked. Oh, I have to remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. There's a good space battle-y stuff, like whenever Kylo Ren is spinning. That's a good technique, or whatever the fuck that line is in the prequels. That what is that? Anakin Skywalker spins. He's like, spinning. That's good. Blah, blah,
Oh, yeah,
blah.
yeah.
I don't know. He does that. Kylo Ren does that.
Just like his granddad. Aw.
Yeah. Oh.
Aw.
He somehow knew. I liked that scene because it was like, so he zooms up to the ship and he's about to lock on to where Leia, like the bridge is, and he hesitates, and then the music all goes away and you're like, oh, is he gonna do it? And then he doesn't, but then a bunch of TIE fighters come out from behind him and they shoot it, and then it explodes and she gets sent out into space. And it should have stopped there.
You think she's gonna die, but
Yeah.
then it's like, oh wait, she used the Force because we knew she could.
Yeah,
Like
well,
Yoda said in the original trilogy, "There's another," and it's
yeah, I
Leia.
didn't
So
have a
she's
problem
had, like,
with her
Force intuition.
doing that. I didn't have a problem with her doing that. I just had a problem with how it was shot, I guess. It looked
really?
very silly. I think that's going to be a common thing people say, but I think that they could have done it a little more artistically, like maybe we don't see her actually
the way she
move through
froze.
space. Yeah.
Like she was frozen like that because space is so cold. you know, so
No,
that's
I'm-
why. Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, the silliness is the, like, everyone's comparing it to like Mary Poppins, just
Oh, sure.
zooming through space. And I think they, if they had shot it in, I don't know exactly how differently, but maybe some kind of like, you see her hand you see all the way up until she flies, essentially, but she instead, like, maybe just her hand appears at the window and you just kind of presume that she made it over there without actually seeing her do it. But then maybe that would raise too many questions, like,
Yeah.
who
I think we
did
need to
that?
see
How
it
did
the
she
way,
get that?
the way we did.
Yeah. I just wish that if she had done that, then later in the movie she would have also used something.
Yeah, if she had helped
similarly,
Luke, like during the final battle.
yeah,
that would
yeah,
have been
done
pretty
done
amazing.
something, yeah.
Yeah,
But
picked up a lightsaber.
I
and
was
summoned a
glad-
crow.
yeah, I was glad that she at least wasn't to my trained eye, she was at least never a weird CGI double.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
something
Like in Rogue One.
I wonder if they changed anything about the plot after Carrie Fisher passed away. Like, I think that it seems like it was that's all that was intended to happen, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, they definitely had an emergency meeting after it happened to kind of discuss
Yeah.
what would happen.
Yeah,
going
she obviously
forward, but-
filmed all this stuff of her being in like a hospital gown and stuff like that. So that I think all that stuff was intended to happen. But you asked me
Yeah.
things I liked, and I've gone off the rails. It's a lot easier to talk about things I didn't like. Let's see. I liked the
It is.
twists. I liked the Luke Skywalker twist at the end that he's not really there.
You did. See,
'cause
I had a problem with that
Okay.
a little bit.
'Cause
Like I understand why it was there, so we can get the final image of the two suns setting. Like, that's beautiful, but it's like if he hadn't, done the astral projection, maybe
Yeah.
he wouldn't have died.
Right. Well, I think he was like he was ready to die the whole movie, though. Like, he was.
Yeah.
He mentions it a couple times. He thinks the Jedi should stop and all this stuff, and I just liked the fact that I didn't see it coming, I guess, and I should have, like, since he has his blue lightsaber and his beard is different and all this stuff. I should have understood that he's not really there. But when you watch it again, there are little clues that I think are not too obvious. Like, as soon as he leans down to talk to Leia, he hands her the, like, dice from the Millennium Falcon. And I'm pretty sure you see those dangling on the cockpit in the Millennium Falcon when Chewie is flying it. So then I could be wrong about that, but that was like one kind of small giveaway that that's not actually those. And then when he leans down, as soon as he hands her those, she kind of gives him a look like, oh, kind of as if
like,
to say,
these
like,
are real.
Yeah, like, I know you're not really here, kind of a thing. Like, she is aware, but no one else is.
Well, she already knows that Han is dead.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just like, I took that look the first time as her just being like, the dice? Whoa. But that doesn't mean anything. So I think that's supposed to be that she knows. I thought it was a moment where he was
like, our friend died. And, like,
I guess, yeah.
You know, here's a little memento, but...
Yeah.
But you're probably right, there's a clue.
Yeah, and then, of course, he gets shot by all the lasers from all the walkers, and they just don't do anything to him, which I assumed they would explain, like, oh, it's been 30 years or whatever since we last saw him. Maybe since then he's figured out how to do, like, a Halo bubble shield or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't think it was too obvious, and then as soon as I do like... It's one of those, like... There's a lot of classic movie moments where you get, if you know what's coming up, if you know the twist, it's enjoyable to watch it with new viewers because you get to see their reactions. And that was something fun for me, seeing it with my parents the second time, was, you know, them, whenever you get to hear the whole theater kind of go like, ooh, yeah. Whenever he gets, like, stabbed with the lightsaber, nothing happens. There's a little, like, blue flare of, oh, he's not really there. Which I actually thought at first when that happened that, like, wait, he already died and this is a ghost version of him, because they had that same effect on Yoda earlier. Yeah.
Which was my favorite part. I loved the Yoda scene where it comes to his classic puppet Yoda.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of this movie, I think, is talking about, you know, the Last Jedi, and it's also kind of like the Last Sith, because there's no more good and evil. Like, there's a lot more gray to the Force, a lot more balance and everything. And when Yoda does appear to Luke as a ghost, and they're talking about burning down that ancient tree that's holding all the ancient Jedi texts, Yoda, like, conjures lightning from the sky, which is always a Sith power previously. So I thought that there might be symbolism there in the balance of the Force. And
yeah, well, I think that's the first time that we've ever seen, to my knowledge. Maybe there's comics stuff that I've never read them, but Obi-Wan in the first movie, he says, like, strike me down and I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine, or whatever. And then any time that we've ever seen a ghost since then, they're just standing there or talking to you. And, like, what do you mean you're more powerful than ever? You're just standing there.
Just a ghost.
This is the
now.
first. Yeah. Now Yoda shows, okay, yeah, I can just look down sadly and lightning will fall from the sky. So that's cool to see that, like, they're, like, more one with nature or something like that. So
there's an episode of Clone Wars that gets into the ghost too, where you see Qui-Gon Jinn. And,
okay.
Yeah, you should look it up. I don't remember which episode it is, but it's pretty good.
I
didn't watch a lot of the Clone Wars, but I watched that specifically.
I watched the Gendy Tartakovsky version, the actual cartoon Clone Wars, the Samurai Jack style. But I've tried to watch the CGI Clone Wars like 3 times, and I just get like 2 episodes in and just can't stand it for some reason. But everyone says it gets better, and I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta. You don't have to watch it all. You know, like, it's not the kind of thing where you have to see every episode. So I'd recommend just Googling, like, which episodes are best.
Yeah, there are. I did do that the second time I tried to watch it. Was someone has made a list of, like, the essential episodes, but then there's I don't know. I'm such a, like, weird completionist with that, where I need to know who's this weird ass alien Jedi that that's just standing here in the background. Like, I'm sure he had an episode that explained him that I don't know now, but whatever. There's so many episodes though, and now there's the other one, the Rebels. Yeah.
Which I saw had a really cool showdown between like the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan,
Yeah,
like older
and
Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul.
Yep.
That was pretty fun to watch. I found that clip, and it's actually a really short battle.
Yeah, it is.
Obi-Wan
I watched
like,
only the
kills
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of that show kind of combining eras, I guess. But I still am very.
And I read
far
a little
behind
bit
on
of the recent Marvel Star Wars comic that was written by Jason Aaron, and there was a cool issue that I remember where Luke travels to Coruscant. Like this is actually like in between episodes 4 and 5, and so he goes to see the ancient Jedi temple that we saw throughout the prequels. So
okay.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Doesn't
Kinda
it
like a
become
pilgrimage.
doesn't it become Palpatine's like castle or whatever or something? Some kind of in like
eventually,
the
I don't
third.
know.
I don't know.
Well,
Something I realized recently was that the chick that plays Vixen on Legends of Tomorrow was in Force Awakens for like 3 seconds.
oh really?
There's when the Starkiller base is like shooting all the planets, and we see like a very Coruscant looking planet. That's not
Okay.
Coruscant, but there's just a bunch of like rich looking higher
Oh,
up
right,
people,
right.
and they all like go out to a balcony and go like, oh no, and that Vixen girl is just right in there in the very front of the shot. And I just read something that's like a deleted scene between her and Rey or Leia or some other female character where they have like a meeting about, oh, the Starkiller base is going to be a real bad thing. But they cut that out, so that shot is just like, look at this woman for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, look at her in Terror as her whole planet
yeah,
blows
I
up.
guess. Well, I guess that's a
Right.
reason. Last Jedi
Well,
stuff.
hey, there was no Death Star in this one, but there was
You're
a giant Death Star gun. So now it's a lot more
They have
portable.
to put a Death Star in everything, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty dumb. That was one of my complaints that's still a complaint for me, is that like they boast like, yep, this is like a tiny Death Star gun, like, and I was thinking like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like when it shoots it's gonna destroy the entire thing, because like when the
Everything. They better get off too.
yeah, when the Death Star itself shot one of its beams at a city in Rogue One, the entire like quarter of the planet just like reverberated and blasted everything into smithereens. And so I was like, okay, one that's maybe a 200th of the size is still going to do some damn damage. And they put like a 6-foot tall hole in the door. So it's like, why did you even do that? Why didn't you just shoot it a bunch? You probably could have shot it a bunch with all of those walkers and done the same amount of damage.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. But you wasted all the ammo on hologram, Luke. So.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed in Snoke. I really wanted to know his
right.
backstory, and now I'm afraid we're never going to get it. But it's also just like the revelation about Rey's parents. Like it might not be any saga spanning thing that like
Yeah.
is payoff from watching episodes 1 through 6, and like finally getting here and be like, oh man, that's a deep cut callback to episode 2 or whatever. And
Yeah.
Maybe it's better that way. It definitely gives them more freedom to tell their own story, but I was really hoping that Snoke would be a familiar face.
The first time that I watched the movie, I definitely had the same feeling about like, oh man, why did they just kill him? What the heck? And same kind of thing about Rey's parents just being, well, they're nobodies. They're just junk traders or whatever the fuck. But but the more I think about it, I think like in the age where the original movies came out, there's just, you go see it with some people and then you talk about it for 5 minutes afterward and you all go home, and then 3 years later another Star Wars movie comes out. There's no like giant
dissection.
Yeah, there's no Reddit.
Sure.
There's no Facebook. There's none of these like just. No one's gonna like write. Yeah. And so I if you saw Force Awakens, you saw a big old guy sitting in a chair being evil. then
Right.
maybe you'd go like, oh, I wonder who that guy is, and then you'd go on with your life. I mean, maybe
realize, oh my god, that's Smeagol. That's
Yeah.
that's Smeagol in that chair.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis.
But yeah, he's quite the circus nowadays because he's like every character. But he it doesn't. I'm fine with it. I think because I don't think it needs to be anybody. And when the Emperor is in the original movies, he had no backstory. He had no interest. He was just a big old melting old man. And that's all that Snoke is. And so maybe in future movies we'll get more information, but if we don't, I really don't care.
Well, it leaves Kylo Ren in a good, interesting place because now he has nobody to answer to, you know? So we'll see,
It leaves
where he is in Episode 9.
Yeah, it's just like a way for Kylo Ren to come into the forefront of being the bad guy, I guess.
Right.
Which
or maybe he turns around and becomes a good guy.
yeah.
Well,
Which
see.
I like that
obviously
it's
Rey
not.
still wants
That's
to
the
save him.
one thing I think that's not just retelling the same Star Wars story again and again. Is that like instead of there just being because Force Awakens, for as good as it is very just. You remember all this stuff? Well, it's got a little slight twist to it now, and it's pretty
very
much everything you know.
formulaic.
Yeah, and one of my complaints in that giant document was that every Star Wars trilogy ends with like I guess not every Star Wars the original Star Wars trilogy ends with like we defeated all the bad guys, everything's gonna be great, and then 20 years later it's just back to exactly how it was before. Pretty much, there's a resistance, there's a empire or whatever, but this one
They never make a better
could-
world.
Yeah, this one could go either way, and it could be different.
Yeah. Somebody still finds all the old stormtrooper costumes,
Yeah.
all the old AT-ATs, you know.
That was kind
and,
of that's something weird, and like obviously they're not going to change the design of the. Well, I mean they did a little bit, but they're not going to change like the people that make Star Wars movies aren't going to change the look of the Empire things too much, just because that's what
It's
Star
classic.
Wars is. Yeah, but the inside. In universe, in the Star Wars universe, why would they just do the same thing? Why don't they just come up with new?
If it broke, don't fix it. Right?
I guess. Maybe people are scared of
Whatever.
stormtroopers.
Yeah. Well, what else can we say?
I've talked about this movie so much with other people that it's hard for me to
I think we
remember
hit
what
most
I've
of
not
the main
talked about.
points here. Well, shall we actually move on? Do our recommendations?
We could. I'm sure I'll think of something else in the middle of all of this, and I apologize.
We haven't really talked about Poe Dameron. He's one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Poe. Yeah, I always
I
thought
did
Poe
like
would
that he
be
was in the movie
revealed-
more.
Yeah, I keep expecting him to be a Sith, and like exposing him to be like dark side user, you know. And so I was kind of surprised in this movie, and it made me realize like, okay, I guess he's a hero. I guess he's.
You hoped that he would
he's a
turn
good
out to
guy.
be dark side.
No, not dark side. Dark side. But I
Dark
thought
seed.
maybe he would be an evil guy. Or
Yeah.
betray the
Well, yeah. I
resistance
mean,
for
he
the
has
Empire.
such little story in Force Awakens that.
Well, what tipped me off in Force Awakens was when he and Finn crashed down on
Oh right, he just
Jakku.
disappears.
He magically comes back just fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's an
So that-
untold
yeah, so that
story
is
that I don't trust him.
No.
Don't trust him.
Yeah, that is a plot hole instead of just being. Oh, hopefully they'll explain that or whatever. Yeah, no, I
because
at
he's
least
a
liked.
Sith.
You will hashtag Poe dark
Poe is
side.
a Sith.
Yeah, Poe is a Sith. That's kind of a hard. Poe.
Yeah,
is
how about-
Poe is how do you spell that?
Edgar Allan Poe. No, that's not
Right, that's what we
someone
mean.
else.
I could see that.
Darth
Edgar
Poe.
Allan Poe in like a big
Darth Poe.
yeah. Edgar Allan Poe in a
Easy.
big like black robe with a crow on his shoulder.
Yeah.
A raven. Sorry, they're different.
Yeah, it's a raven. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I liked seeing more of him, and I enjoyed that he's.
He's really the telltale heart of the Resistance, you could say.
No, you couldn't say that at all.
all right.
You could.
I
but you
won't
shouldn't.
say that. I won't.
I don't know. I'm having Star Wars fatigue from this conversation, so
That's
let's
okay.
go to comic
Let's
relief.
move on. How about Doomsday Clock number 2?
Go see it. Go see
Yeah,
Star
go see
Wars.
Last Jedi. It's the last Jedi you'll see until
Yeah.
episode 9.
In true Star Wars fashion, it's the last Star Wars before the next Star Wars. Yeah, okay. So,
Okay.
what'd you say? Doomsday Clock number 2?
Yeah, I want to talk about Doomsday Clock
Do
number
it.
2. It was awesome. It's
Begin.
still kind of a slow build. Written by Jeff Johns, drawn by Gary Frank. It is the more or less, it's an official Watchmen sequel. The Watchmen are coming to the DC universe.
They have now, for sure. Certainly.
Yeah, they are here. In this issue, they do come to the DC universe. And it's Ozymandias with the new characters Marionette and Mime, who are basically Joker and Harley archetypes, as well as the new Rorschach, who is, we know by now, is not the original Rorschach, Walter Kovacs. It's somebody else. And I think we talked about theories on who that could be in a couple episodes ago. But yeah, they crash land to the DCU, and there's a few main characters that they encounter. Ozymandias goes straight to Lex Luthor, who he thinks is he's the smartest man in the world. Just like Ozymandias is the smartest man of his world. They arrange a meeting because he thinks he can appeal to Lex in that fashion. And then
That was something
Rorschach
that I
to
thought
Bruce
was
Wayne for the same thing.
Yeah, the Lex Luthor thing was funny to me because we've seen so many Lex Luthor stories that we know. Yeah, Lex Luthor is real smart. Like I believe it. But we've seen one Watchmen story, or 2. I don't know. Like they just tell you that Ozymandias is real smart, and you have to believe that. So whatever. But
it's his branding.
it's a little
too,
thing.
you know?
Yeah.
Which is why he's been kind of slipping up and making mistakes, and so now we know, like, oh, maybe Ozymandias isn't the smartest man in the world. Obviously, he's not.
That's true.
because
Maybe he
his
just says he
grand
is. Yeah.
scheme didn't work in the first place.
Yeah.
So
A big old squid.
yeah, and the DCU is always kind of flaunted that idea of like the smartest men in the universe. Like it's Lex is usually up there, Bruce Wayne, and then like some of the missing people are probably like Ray Palmer and John Henry Irons.
Yeah.
Are usually pretty high on that list. Mr. Terrific. I'd say those are probably the top 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Superman, you're a real dummy.
Right. So the big revelations here, well, the final page, like we finally get that Jeff Johns classic final page, splash page surprise, and it's the return of the comedian. He's in the DC universe, alive and well somehow, and he's got vendetta against Ozymandias. He seems to know that the last time they met, he was kind of drunk and got thrown out a window. So now that he's not as drunk, he's kind of ready for a rematch.
Yeah, there was. I didn't realize at the time. I guess you're right that is in the DC world that he reappears, and that makes now I'm thinking like, when did he not die and he somehow transported there or something? Yeah.
Well, it must have been around Rebirth, around the time where his button was lodged into the wall of the Batcave.
Right.
Because it was still the button with the blood on it, but didn't Batman
That's,
the
I guess,
Flash
yeah, there must be
trace
some
that blood?
connection.
Yeah, it had to be around that same time. It's also implied that Dr. Manhattan has been living in the DCU for a little over a year, like possibly as someone else.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's Captain Atom.
Something that confused me about this issue was Dr. Manhattan does show up for like a page.
That's
but
a
was he
flashback scene.
okay? Because I was trying to figure out if that was happening right now or if that was referring to something that happened before.
It's actually referring to a classic like Silver Age issue of Captain Atom that was published by Charlton Comics. So there's an issue where Punch and Julie are robbing a bank and Captain Atom stops them. And so it's very much that same situation, except updated to be Mime and Marionette. And I think like why it's so important is because Captain Atom's about to like just blow up Marionette, but then he looks at her and realizes that she's pregnant, and so he decides to spare her for the child. And that's the only reason why Marionette and Mime are working with Ozymandias, is so that they can be reunited with their child, because he knows where it is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and so he's hoping that that they can appeal to Dr. Manhattan's humanity by being like, hey, look, it's those people that you saved. Maybe there's a reason why you saved them. Maybe the child's important for some reason.
Yeah.
But here they are again. Don't kill us because here these people are.
Well, that
So,
that makes
see.
a lot more sense to have that bank robbery thing be a flashback then, because I was just like, is this really his big reveal in the comic? Is he's just there for a couple of seconds for no reason? He's in like a suit or something. Oh no, he has like trunks on or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Classic.
She makes a
design.
comment about like nice underwear. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
I liked, or I was okay. I don't know. I don't remember if we talked about this last time we talked about Doomsday's cock, but the dude. I guess we don't know yet. We'll find out soon-ish. But the next month, I guess. Is this set in 1992 in the DC world?
No. So there's actually a line in this issue where they say something about the DC or this other universe seems to be a little further ahead.
Yeah, but does
Somebody
that mean
says
just
that.
technologically, or is it actually?
Probably both.
Because it's more than a little bit. It's like 24 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, and
I don't
we
know.
also know that Dr. Manhattan stole 10 years of their
Yeah. Oh,
life.
that's true.
So there's like definitely a little bit of weirdness going on that time, but it is implied that their world is further along.
Because I was like, oh, okay, I'll be able to tell by Batman's costume if he has a bat with yellow outline,
Right.
then it's now. But then they
It
like
is now.
cheekily never show Batman's
Yeah.
costume really. Like he just looks like Batman. So, no,
It's,
okay.
My understanding is that it is a little in the future of the DCU, and over the next year, while Doomsday Clock is being published, the rest of the titles are going to catch up to it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and so by the end of the series, it should all be very close. Like, it's basically Doomsday Clock is set after everything else that we're reading right now. Like, Metal is before it. All these other stuff going on right now is before Doomsday Clock.
I blame Pokemon of all things for my my love for interweaving stories and like crossovers and things like that, because there is an episode of Pokemon that I can't remember which one. It doesn't matter, but it's like the original series where Team Rocket have just been like blasted off again, and they're like walking sadly down a road. They have to like go back to Giovanni, the like Team Rocket leader guy, and
I gotcha.
they're like, oh, we messed up again. What the heck? And they're walking really sadly, and then all of a sudden the Team Rocket headquarters just explodes, and Mewtwo like flies out of it into the stratosphere.
Oh, nice.
And that's all you see, and you're like, what was that? And then in the
And then
movie,
you see the movie.
yeah, and in the movie, it all makes sense. It's all connected, and like right now, even just talking about that, I just got goosebumps on my arms. I don't know. And it's like that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me at all nowadays. But it's just like so,
It's
like
such
seeing.
a good moment.
I know, it was cool, and so yeah, so anything like that, like it would be kind of cool to see if they do catch up to that moment. If there's some kind of like scene in the DC comics where you see like the what's Owlman, Night Owl?
Yeah.
I can't. Owlman?
Or from the Crime Syndicate? Or
No, the Watchmen one.
yeah,
Is it Night Owl?
Night Owl.
Yeah,
That's
if
Night
you
Owl.
see
But I
his-
bring up the Crime Syndicate because at the end of Darkseid War, the Owlman from the Crime Syndicate is with Metron, where they basically get killed by Dr. Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
So I was
okay.
going to say earlier, I think Metron could be Dr. Manhattan. That might be who he's disguised as right now.
Okay.
Because all we see at the end of that issue is the bloody Mobius chair.
Right.
And
yeah.
so maybe
It's
Dr.
just
Manhattan
floating,
becomes
yeah.
Metron and sits on that chair again. I don't know. We'll see.
What if Dr. Manhattan sat in the chair? Oh my god. I guess that's what you're saying.
No,
is
he
already
probably is.
yeah.
But it would just be the perfect disguise for him because Metron's already this like all knowing.
Metron's already
being.
blue. Yeah,
Right.
no, that'd be cool. But yeah, if they caught up to it, where you just see Night Owl's ship like crash through the bat signal or something, like it does in this comic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what was that? I don't know. Like that's
Oh,
what it
and like
reminds
the
me
regular
of.
Batman series. Yeah.
Like
it's possible.
Mewtwo.
It seems like Bruce Wayne's having a lot of company problems too. Like
Yeah.
he's in danger. Wayne Enterprises is in danger of being bought out by LexCorp.
Yeah, he's having a
so-
big old Lucius Fox argument when we find him.
Yeah.
I think
maybe we'll see the books catch up to that too.
Yeah, and I isn't there like a recent Batman? This is a little off topic, but a recent Batman comic where you see like the future, and he and Selena Kyle have grown old together.
Yeah, that was the Batman Annual #2.
Okay.
I just read that recently. It was a really good issue.
Because that stuff confuses me nowadays with what's the real future, what's not the real future, and I'm sure that they'll just revamp it again at some point. It won't matter, but
yeah, ultimately there is no real future.
Yeah.
It keeps getting rewritten as the present goes along.
Right.
Well, what I think is really fascinating is in the comic book world, we see stuff like Kingdom Come. This was a great example of a potential future, and elements of that keep getting integrated into the DC universe. Like, there's so many younger characters of like younger generations of heroes who were inspired from characters that we saw in the background of that comic.
Okay.
And so I've kind of enjoyed seeing Kingdom Come's influence
is
spread
Kingdom
over
Come the
years.
first time that we see the like Red Robin character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Red Robin's a good example. Damian Wayne was kind of in that, but he had a different name. He was definitely an Al Ghul rather than a Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or not even Al Ghul. I couldn't say it, but
And then in that recent Legacies issue, they put Orion in the robes that he wears in Kingdom Come.
did they do that?
Yeah,
Or did we?
they both did that, Ted.
Yeah, but one of us might have been pushing more for the Justice League Beyond 2.0 version.
No,
of Orion's.
I don't think that's correct.
I don't know. I'm just speculating about what they thought.
Yeah, we'll never know, I guess.
I guess we'll never know.
Okay.
But you're right.
Well,
There was a little. Yep. And like Black Lightning, he has 2 daughters, Thunder and Lightning, who were in Kingdom Come.
I don't know anything about his character, so I believe you that's from that.
Okay. They're gonna be in the show too. But anyway, we see stuff like that. I think that's cool. But to bring it back to Doomsday Clock, a little cameo thing that got me all excited as a fanboy was when the owl ship, I forget what it's called, Archimedes, right? When it crash lands to DCU, it crashes at the same amusement park from The Killing Joke.
Oh yeah,
which
that was cool.
is another Alan Moore story. So that was kind of a cool illusion. And like we do know for a fact that this comic is where the 3 Jokers mystery from Rebirth is going to be dealt with. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that was on accident.
No, I noticed that immediately too, and I liked that it's a pretty good balance, I think, of like, reference to this Watchmen thing, reference to this DC thing. It's not just like, the Watchmen are now in the DC world and everything's just DC with these guys plucked out of their thing.
I like that they're the main characters. I like that we're following this core group of people from the Watchmen world.
I was a little bit off-put by the fact that the Watchmen are already in the DC universe as of issue number 2 of 12. But I'm not writing the story, so I'm sure that there's a good reason, and it all flows really well because of who's writing it.
The first issue was such a slow start.
Yeah,
so I'm glad that they're kind of speeding this up now. But Jeff Johns is really good at pacing. So
I do like that it's all in the same like 9-panel Watchmen-y thing.
Yeah, and what's also have you noticed how the cover is also indicative of the next panel, like the first panel of the issue? That's usually, I mean, they've had a couple of variant covers, so it just depends on.
Yeah, I was mentally complaining about that. That like, I didn't get the cover that has Dr. Manhattan and Superman on it. What the heck? But then
I've been getting all the covers.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm a sucker. Yeah, when I check out the store, I'm just like, I'm getting it all.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help that the comic's always like $5 or something. Like I can't do it. But I'm glad to be reading this. I think it'll be a memorable in comic book history kind of thing.
For sure.
What did I read though? Let's see. I read a lot of stuff. I read all of the Justice League Origin
another
paperback.
Jeff Johns book.
Yeah. Which I've seen the JL War movie a couple of times, so I pretty much knew what was happening. But there were a lot of things in there that didn't happen in the movie. that I appreciated seeing. Like we got a Steppenwolf and Desaad cameos that I don't think were in there, and there was a bunch of like Superman got taken to Apocalypse and was like being experimented on and stuff for a couple pages. And
did it introduce a part where like Cyborg's obviously got a bunch of apocalyptic technology? If not, I forget if he has an actual mother box that's part of him, but I do remember them setting up in war that's like, you know, we've got this like portal system that Cyborg can create, but like we got to be careful because every like 100th time we use it, we could wind up back on Apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
And that's like something they set up as like a warning. They're like, if you know, one of these days it's not going to work, and we're going to be in the middle of Apocalypse, and it never happened. They never like I kept expecting it throughout Jeff Johns' run because they set it up in Origin. I was like, when are they going to randomly have to fight Darkseid all of a sudden? Like,
well, you can
never.
definitely. There's a lot of cues they took from that book for the Justice League movie that I knew that like just the basics of Cyborg, mother boxes, Apocalypse, like that stuff is definitely like kind of taking from that, but it was more. I think the book did it better in several ways that couldn't have been done in the movie purely because what it was set up in Batman vs Superman and stuff like that, where like in the book Cyborg he's a football playing college student or whatever, and he like gets when the parademons are invading, he gets all blowed up from a boom tube or whatever.
Which apparently might have been shot for the movie. That might be a deleted scene.
Well, okay, that's true. That could have happened. Well, I guess we never see what
we see some football stuff in the trailer.
Yeah, but we don't see what causes him to become all limbless in the movie universe. But and then they have to like fuse him with technology that in this book they just say like, but you know where we got that from. You can't do that, but they don't tell you where you got it from. I guess you can assume it's apocalyptian, but who knows? And then he's like just helping him out the whole time, whereas in the movie he was already fused with the mother box before the movie started, so they couldn't have made that happen as part of the plot. And by movie I mean the Justice League live action movie, not the cartoon version.
I gotcha. Yeah, we're kind of talking about both.
Yeah, but the cartoon version of this book also has a lot of like minor differences, like the when Batman and Green Lantern are tracking the parademon into the sewers at the start, the parademon turns into like a weird like spider crab robot and then puts the mother box along the bomb or whatever on the edge of the sewers, but in the movie he's just still a parademon. That doesn't really bother me, I guess, but it's just something I noticed.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it was good, I guess.
In the movie, it has Shazam.
Right, that's a main difference, instead of Aquaman.
Right.
Which I guess I'm okay with because then they had a whole movie introducing Aquaman, but whatever.
Yeah, I remember reading that the original context of that comic, Jeff Johns and Jim Lee were going to do a Justice League book after Flashpoint. And it was going to be set in that pre-Flashpoint world. They weren't going to completely reboot their universe. It was going to be a matter of like bringing Cyborg back, like joining the team from the Titans. Right. And I think their first arc was going to be the Throne of Atlantis and have kind of invasion from Atlantis. And then once DC decided like, okay, yeah, we are going to reboot our universe after Flashpoint, Jeff Johns and Jim Lee made the Origin book. And so it was something they had to go back and do before doing the stories he actually wanted to tell for his Justice League book. Yeah.
Well, it did seem a little bit rushed when I was reading it, like compared to the movie, because it's just a bunch of like, this new character appeared because boom tubes were happening, and like that was their introduction. I think the live action movie maybe did that slightly better with like the whole each like men had a mother box and Atlanteans had a mother box, and like I liked the mother box thing that they did with that. That was pretty unique.
It was like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's the
at least men had the rings, the elves, and the mastering.
What have you watched JTS Entertainment's review of the movie or something? The
Did you already say that?
yeah, we talk about that.
Good. All right.
But the yeah, no, I at least like that it's different from just there's mother boxes. Like it's just it's at least slightly unique. But it's what was I going with that? Oh yeah, in the comic, it's just kind of I don't know. Okay, in the movie, like the Atlanteans have a mother box and it goes off, and that's like what signals Aquaman to like, okay, yeah, I guess I need to get involved with this because it's threatening things that I like. Whereas in this, it's just like he just says, "Oh, there were parademons underwater. I didn't like that, so I came up here." And they're like, "Okay, welcome to the team. Let's go." Yeah,
yeah.
So I don't know. Not to discredit Jeff Johns or anything, obviously, but I just thought that now knowing that what you've said that wasn't necessarily.
I wish I could cite a source. I don't have a source on me. I just remember reading something about that being a last minute decision.
Yeah, I can see that though. Now that I think about it,
kind of the context of the rest of it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to read all of that run to get to Darkseid War so that I know what the hell's going on with all of that.
Yeah. it's an interesting run. It's I'm a big fan of Jeff Johns. I probably say that every episode that we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And the highlights being Trinity War and Forever Evil and the Darkseid War. So
yeah, but just like Clone Wars, I can't just read parts of it. I have to read the whole thing. So
right.
I'll see you in 10 years. I'll be at Darkseid War, and it'll be good.
It won't take that long.
Yeah.
Well,
that's I'll stop talking about that because I read a bunch of other stuff like White Knight #4 I read the Doomsday Clock I read. What was the other thing? The other main Metal
Metal #4.
4, yeah. Those are all fantastic.
I had a problem with Metal #4. There's a big splash page reveal at the end. 2 back to back. One of them is pretty cool, and the other was like, why did you do that right after this first splash page? Because it's right next to each other. So the first one being, we have Kendra Saunders, who was the Hawk Girl in the late 90s, early 2000s. She is Lady Blackhawk in this, like working for the Blackhawk Air Force group, but now she's Lady Blackhawk as like an evil, like, winged, like she's got these like long talons and like looks pretty awesome and super evil. And so it's like, okay, that's pretty sweet. That's a nice reveal. And then one page later, there's like Black Adam suddenly joins the fight, and he also has like most of the page reveal. And it's like, that is like not as cool to me because we just had this big splash page reveal, and like why, like Black Adam's cool, he's a good character, but like it was just downplayed for me reading it, just to have this back to back on the same, like looking at it on the page.
I was just peeved that they put Lady Blackcock into Metal instead of Doomsday's cock. I'm sorry, I'm
there's a lot of cocks.
Not do that joke. Edit that out, James. I agree with you. I think the Metal stuff is all so unpredictable what's going to happen on the next page that it's cool, but it's also slightly like off-putting in that I can't I like to be able to predict a certain percentage of what's going to happen so that when it does happen the way I think, I can go but there's so many variables to the Metal stuff and the dark multiverse.
It's a whole dark multiverse of variables.
That is, really. And I like introducing all these concepts and everything, but like I said, I like to go, okay, maybe Barbados is gonna have a pink cape on the next page and then Barbie. He does, and hell yeah, but he doesn't ever do that, and
Barbie
it bothers me
a pink cape.
Yeah, no, that's a bad example, but I think you know what I mean.
I gotcha. It's honestly, I think I'm afraid it's gonna jump the shark pretty soon. It's definitely gonna establish this whole DC New Age of Heroes thing that they're about to launch. It's like 8 new books with basically all original characters. There's a few characters like the Terrifics by Jeff Lemire that we've seen all these characters before, but it's a new concept for a book. So I am almost 100% sure that Metal is gonna lead into all this stuff.
It's also just weird that they're doing this and Doomsday Clock like around the same time, where like they're two just like giant universe-changing events that are like and I guess timeline-wise they're not happening simultaneously, but they're overlapping enough to where I'm like I actually kind of forget what's happening in one of them before I read the other one. And I don't know, maybe they did that on purpose for a greater reason, but if not, then why'd you do it?
Yeah. Well, Metal is going to end pretty soon. It's got, what is it, 6 issues, 8 issues?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't remember. I think
I
it's
gotta
6,
I think this week or next week, my shop's getting in more of the Hawkman Found or whatever.
Good.
So
I liked that. Yeah. But yeah, so Metal's going to be over pretty soon. And the Doomsday Clock has quite a long ways to go. About a year still, because they are going to take a month or two off in Doomsday Clock just to kind of get ahead. So there is going to be a little bit of a break.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, they're taking a month or two off of what? Of Doomsday Clock?
Doomsday's Clock.
Oh, I thought that they were doing one a month for that.
Well, I don't remember which month it is, but there is going to, I think it's a break after issue number 4. I think it's going to take, like, they're taking a month off.
Okay.
Or something. Yeah.
Do you think,
I could be thinking of Metal. But I'm pretty sure Doomsday Clock's taking a break during production at some point.
Do you think when Bruce Wayne says the words Doomsday Clock in the Justice League movie that he's referring to that comic, or that he's just saying words that are also words?
I think what's more important is when he tells Rorschach, "You ate my pancakes." I think that's more important to wonder about. What's going to happen next? Is he going to beat him up for eating his pancakes?
Yeah, it was
so.
kind of surprising that like Batman even noticed that his pancakes. Made me think of the.
I mean, of course he would. That's his breakfast. He relies on that. Got to fuel.
Well, but in that I liked. I mean, obviously it's different continuities and stuff, but I like the Batman TMNT adventures where Alfred's just scraping nothing into the garbage can. Like, oh, are you going to eat this? Nope, I'm leaving. And then, okay, and he's just scraping an empty plate.
Shout out to Matthew Manning.
Yeah.
For the snarky Alfred
stuff.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I want more of it.
Yeah,
Hashtag Batman TMNT reunion. Everybody do that on all the Twitters. Tweet the things.
I want a Batman Beyond Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you brought that up at the.
I did. I brought
panel.
it. I asked him on that panel. Yeah. Well,
that's a good spot to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. We're on.
Talk about our fan mail.
Yeah.
Leave us emails and comments and tweets.
Yeah,
and
we'd
stuff.
like to actually talk. We'd like to get some questions or comments from people to read on the show, because that would be a fun thing to do. We get a lot of comments on stuff, but none of them are like worthy of bringing up, I guess. Like, so if you have like, I don't know, fan theories, or if you have, what do you guys think about this topic kind of stuff, feel free to comment that or send us an email, info@watchtowerdatabase.com. And we'll talk about it on the show, and you can hear our actual voices
tweet at us,
instead of just little
comment.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't have to email. You can just do whatever.
Tweets is good too, at DCAU Watchtower. That's all our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. That's a thing. Help us, because we need it, and it'll be great to get your help. That's
under JTS Entertainment.
Yeah, patreon.com/JTS Entertainment. And if you're like hesitant, like, I don't care about your other stuff that you do, I just care about this stuff, it supports all of it in an equal amount. So it's a healthy helping thing that you could do and will make us happy.
Mm-hmm. We can get pancakes.
Yeah, we can finally buy pancakes. We can I've
share them with Rorschach.
Pancake shortage for a while. What else? Where else are we existing? I'm trying to get this stupid thing on iTunes, but the websites never email me back to figure it out. I'm sure it's not as hard as I think it is, but I don't have the time to do it. So
it'll be there soon.
Eventually, yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some upcoming stuff we've got? What's in the works?
We've got, let's see, let me look at the calendar.
It's been about 2 months since the last issue of Legacies dropped, but we have another 6-pager coming out.
Yep.
probably the end of February.
Yep, that's when it's slated for. I'm currently doing shading and things for that.
It is called
we've-
Powers That Be.
Yep.
And it is basically a follow-up to the other 6-pager that we released a couple months ago called Asylum. I actually wrote them originally as the same issue, so it is essentially a sequel to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it's full of cameos and appearances by characters that you will be interested in seeing probably. They're not.
I think so.
Yes, some of them are ones you'll recognize immediately. Some of them are ones that will take more Legacies issues for you to understand who you're actually seeing. But that
Or a
but I
Google
think-
search.
Yeah, well, you could pretty easily do it. Yeah, that's a fun one. Drawn by Marcelo Milikai. He's been he did the last 6-pager, and he also has been doing a bunch of covers for us. He does really solid stuff. I like him. I'd give him pancakes if I could. Let's see. We got next week. We're theoretically starting Trivia Tuesdays. That's a new segment. It's just like a
With
minute
me.
or two long things every other Tuesday that'll be just little short things that Ted says.
I'll be narrating them without a sore throat,
Yeah.
unlike today.
Yeah.
So thanks for bearing with me
you
today.
You sound okay.
Okay.
And then a couple of weeks we'll have another. We're going to be starting to do the Sunday videos on also every other week instead of every week because it takes up a lot of time to make those. But it'll be hopefully a schedule that is like every week there's something from the channel, whether it's this podcast or a main topic video or Trivia Tuesdays or blah 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 blah.
And you're probably going to do a video explaining this in more detail.
Yeah, there'll be something.
The schedule.
Or
schedule
at the
update.
very least, I'll make some kind of promo of like, on Tuesday, it's this, CartoonNetwork.com. But
You need to use that voice.
yeah, I mean, Sunday, monster trucks. All right, yeah, that's pretty much it. You'll see more updates from us soon, and lots of cool videos and things all over the place.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Goodbye.
All right. Ciao.